Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and today we're going to be talking about Polyverse Music Wider plugin with Infected Mushroom. And this is the 2.0 version. So I spoke about this plugin back in the day in a video called Getting Your Tracks Wider, how to make your tracks wide. So I'll leave you a link to that below so you can check it out. It was one of the few tools that I mentioned, but it was the old version. Now they have a new version, which is kind of cool because it has a couple new features which can be very handy. So we're going to discuss that today. Let's get right into it. Okay, so you might be asking, what is the Wider plugin by Polyverse? It is a stereo widening tool and it is free. So you should go to Polyverse Music. I'll leave you a link in the description and get a copy. It is for PC and Mac and it works in all plugin formats. So you can use it with pretty much any DAW. And I know they even have an iPad version for version 1.0. I have not personally used that, so I can't really speak on that. But the Wider plugin is a good utility tool to get wider tracks. They claim that it has zero phase cancellation, so it's very helpful there. But I have noticed some phase cancellation if you go too wide. Let's talk about why you might widen your sounds. So I make a lot of dance music, and obviously the kick and the bass are very prominent in the middle, as well as the snares or claps. And sometimes I like to kind of push things out to the side. You know, I'm not talking about panning something left or panning something right, or, you know, say you've got a signal and you pan it left and then put a delay on the right. That is another way to get widening, but with the widening tool, to me, it kind of just shapes this outward motion. And so when I'm trying to possibly push things outside the mix, and then I'll lower the volume to give it that sense of space, but it helps me get things more defined. Another tip that I like to do before we get into using this plugin and showing you the overview of it is I like to do things in mono, and I have a video on that where I check my mix in mono a lot, so I'll leave you a link to that. I also will check the widening in mono for mono compatibility, number one, but number two, I'll actually turn on the mono and then widen, and until I feel that it gives me this weird sense of space that is almost non-apparent, then I turn off the mono, and it just sounds amazing to me. This is just a personal thing. You can take that or leave that. Some might say that that doesn't actually work, but you know, I'm basically mixing in mono for mono compatibility, and then when you turn it off, everything just sounds much more spacious in your mix. So let's get into the Polyverse Wider plugin. Okay, when you first turn it on, this is what you see. And I've got a session here of a track that I made this week. It's not finished, it's not fully mixed, so I thought it'd be good to kind of use. Right now, really, there's really minimal knobs on this. The old one had the wider. This is how you make things wider right here. And you can hit this Polyverse button to get a GUI size if you want to make it bigger, or you can change the knob mode to round or linear. So linear I like better because you go up and down and it moves it. The round mode, it looks like you have to kind of go around the dial, which is a slower move for me. So I'm going to stick to linear with version 2. That's just how I like it. So the low bypass will eliminate widening the frequencies below this signal, which can help with keeping the low end intact. And so that can be very handy because if you're trying to widen, say, maybe the top end of a kick drum or the tops of a bass, maybe if the bass layers are all in one synth and you don't have the individual separation, I guess, you know, you could always duplicate the track and then turn off each layer of the synth. There's a lot of ways to get to the same place, but this just gives you a little bit more control, which they didn't have in version 1. And there's a mono button here, which is kind of nice because you can do your mono compatibility checking right here for that track, not on your whole mix. So one of the things I like to do is have a 2-bus by Matt on my master just to check my mono compatibility, and I'll leave you a link to a video on that down below. Now, let's go ahead and see what's going on with the Wider plugin. So I do have the Wider on this ARP. So this is what the track sounds like. And so let's turn it off. This is off. And this is on. And you can see that it just gives it a little bit of sense of space. Okay, so What do I like to use Wider on? I use it on synths, instruments, vocals. I've used it on some percussion before. You know, the possibilities are endless. I've seen people use it on reverb buses, complete buses, if you have, say, a drum bus or an instrument bus. Lots of ways you could use this plugin. So I suggest you experiment in that realm. Let's apply this plugin to this Rhodes right here. I want to widen up this Rhodes a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. So this is before. As you can see, that gave it a little bit of space in the mix. I like that. It kind of opened the Rhodes up. Let's take this and bring this out. So this is before. The Rhodes sounds much further back in the mix. It doesn't have its own sense of space. Now with this widener tool, it's very wide. That's probably a lot wider than I would normally go. But it's just giving it a nice sense of space. Let's try it just for fun on this drum bus. This is on the Hats and Shakers bus. So here it is before. Kind of went in. And then it kind of just expands it outward. So it's a very handy plugin. It's very, very, very good for just getting things to kind of sit on the outskirts of the mix. You know, one of the things for me, I remember a friend asked me, how do you know when to widen things? Well, it's not when you shouldn't, it's more of a personal preference. If I want to get things sitting a little bit on the outskirts of the speaker, say for example, but I want to leave things intact in the middle, it's a great way to get them out, and then I can actually bring the volume down. So they sit further back in the mix volume-wise, but they sit wider in the mix overall. Now, one good thing to do when using this plugin is to check mono compatibility. So I like to use this Mat 2 bus here, and I just turn it on and off here. And so as you can see, if I hit this Rhodes again, now let's hit it with the 2 bus on. So you hear that the Rhodes changed because it was some to mono, and it's a very wide sound as it is before, even the widening tool. So it lost a little of its luster, but it's still there. It's still in the mix. So that shows me that I don't have any issues with mono compatibility when using this plugin on that instrument. And let's turn it off. So that is how you can check to make sure you don't have any pitfalls when using widening, and that when you have a mix that does collapse to mono, the sounds don't disappear. Matt has this 2 bus control as a free plugin as well. I'll leave you a link down below. You should go get that one too. Now, what can you use widening on? As we spoke about before, you could use it on instruments, vocals, you know, buses. Some people might use it on the whole mix. I would be very cautious with that. Try it on effect sends. You know, get creative here. What do you think you can do that can enhance the mix overall, and just have fun with it? Oh, that's really what this is about. So this was a video on Polyverse Widening. I hope you learned something, and it's a cool plugin. I use it in every single session. I suggest you go get it. My name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and if you have any questions about this video, please shoot me a comment down below. Also, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. It really does help me out to keep making these videos, and I hope you have a good day.